A very good afternoon to you. I think Avinash did a great job, presenting the complex thing in a simplest way. Though some of these slides, some of the activity that happened on the slide look really, really very simple, but to make it operationalize is really not easy. There are a lot more complexity involved in terms of doing it. So the topic that is being given to me is pretty very complex, very contextual, the man and machine conflict. And how do we make sure that we define a right balance between the two to get the best value out of these two independent pillars? Now, before I get into my slides, let me tell you a simple story that happened with me on Saturday. On Saturday morning, I landed in Dubai from Warsaw. My mother called me that I have, my younger brother is either crossing 30, and I should take the responsibility of, finding a bride for him. So being a loyal son, I said, yes, I would take the responsibility and I'll organize, a few things through the technology, help. Of course, being a very bad husband, I conveniently passed that to my wife. I said, okay, this is the order from the queen. You have to execute the order. My wife got into a Indian matrimony side. She started, giving all the information, and to take the revenge, she gave my mobile number. So my mobile number was given in the website. She did whatever she wanted to do. She completed the registration, and within 10 minutes, I got a call. I was not at home. I got a call saying that, thanks for registering for your brother. But we saw that you wanted to look for a premium package, but eventually actually you took a regular package. I was very surprised. I really had no background to it, but knowing that money got a value, I said, okay, let's live with the regular package. But in future, in case I want to really, I'll be looking for a premium package. Definitely, we'll come back to you. So that basically, the message that I wanted to really communicate here is, I think we are surrounded by machine and product of machines. This is a simple example, how, you do something within an hour, and, there is so much of information that is getting created, so much of action that is created, and, you get benefited out of that. Now, there are tons of examples in that area. So, take a simple example, which is Facebook. When you get into the Facebook, you register yourself. It recommends you. Who are the people? Could be closely related to you through your friend network, through your profile. They recommend you. If you go to Amazon, you try to buy a book. It will tell you, what are the closest book associated with that kind of profile. It's very interesting. And the point that I'm trying to make is, you have plenty of tools that helps you in terms of, recommending product to you, recommending pricing to you, and recommending, various solution to you. The oil that is actually creating this revolution is the big data. The data, especially, there are so many, speakers, those who spoke before me, they're very clear that, there are so much of information getting gathered in the digital space, but we are talking about that, using that information, mining that information, and communicating with the customer. Now, so as I said, so it is the big data that is actually, kind of doing it, but the refinery is definitely the technology. So without technology, you will not be able to achieve what we are really able to achieve in the big data space. Now, this man and machine conflict is really not new. I mean, Hollywood has championed it. If you look at the top 20 movies, they have made for about $1.6 trillion. And on average, they make around, $80 to $90 million revenue, out of creating movie from this domain. Now, so we will spend some time in terms of looking at, what is that really creating so much of data? If you look at, in the current slide, the consumers are becoming extra demand. We are living in a very different area. different era. The consumer, as a consumer, I want to do anything anywhere. This is I do not have the time, I do not have the patience, and this is exactly that I want. Look at, can I? The next question is, if I want to do anything anywhere, can I really do it? I want to do shop, I want to bank, I want information about various things. Give you a simple example. There's a bank, Commonwealth Bank of Australia, who has created an app. So if you're a prospective home buyer, you download the app, you take a picture of the house, and it will tell you where is the location, what is the price of the house, either any tax attached to the vicinity of that area. Then it will connect you to your personal financial profile from bureau. It will pull the financial profile. It will link that. It will link that to a prospective lender. That this is individual X. This is his financial profile. Do you have a pre-approved mortgage for him? If you have a pre-approved mortgage, what is the amount? When can you really release it? So look at how the complex things can be made really very simple. And we would have taken maybe, let's say, 1 month or 2 months in terms of actually completing that circle. But here is an app which is really connect you almost on a real-time basis. Now the next one is personal and relevant to me, which is extremely personal, knowing the individual and really offering the product. We have a gentleman spoke in the morning, which is offer anarchy. Today in UAE there are certain banks, which calls you at least 7 to 8 times in a month. I mean, of course, there is not much rationale behind it, but that's how the real world is. But today's consumer really do not want to be flooded with offers which is not relevant to them. It has to be you need to really exactly understand what the customer needs and do the offer accordingly. Simplicity. You can take 2 months, 3 months in terms of designing a product, giving a proper solution, but it has to be really very simple. When you will be always compared yourself with network like Amazon, network like Facebook and Google. They are as simple as that. Now, so that's talk about what actually the consumer was talking about. Now let's look at how we are empowered. How we are empowered actually to do that interaction with the customer, to interact with the business model. If you look at the top left, you will see almost 96% mobile penetration. If you look at the top right block, it talks about almost 72, almost 77 or 80% of the household in the developed world connected through internet, almost 45 or 50% of your household connected through world over. That's the global average. If you look at the bottom right, you will see if you look at the 2012 shipments of the devices that can connect you to the rest of the world, you will see the share of smartphone and the share of feature phone is the highest. See, look at the share of the regular phone is almost, the basic phone is almost negligible. So it empowers. If you look at the bottom left, it also talks about the number of individuals that are attached to, it's close to 38-40% of your individuals are also connected, to the global. So this is enabling, this is another big enabling factor which is allowing you to communicate and actually create huge amount of information which the company can use and leverage. This is another interesting slide. We always talk about growth of the economy, but this slide talks about not only the growth of the world growth. You look at from 2010 to 2020. The expected GDP growth in 2020 would be less, around 2.5. But if you look at the data growth, the volume of data that is really growing on a day-to-day basis, it's a high double digit. It's around, almost 50% in 2010. That's not 10, 12. That is 2012. So you have almost around 160%. Moving to 2020, you will have a compound annual growth of close to 25%. It's a huge amount of data that we are talking about. Now, you look at your per capita GDP is something around $10,000 US, but if you look at the per capita data, that comes to around 6 terabytes. And, to translate into a layman language, that comes to 12 notebooks of current size. Look at the volume of data each of us. I mean, this is talking about a global average. Now, if you are looking at, people who have access to the device, people are living in the city, there's going to be a lot more. And, 6 terabytes per person is not a small amount of data. You talk about any mid-sized bank in Dubai, they will not have actually that much of data for the customer in last 2 to 3 years. Now, going to the next slide, this talks about the quantum of data that is being building up. So if you look at, by 2020, we are going to generate, which is equivalent to 40 zettabytes of data. Zettabyte is a big number. It's very difficult to comprehend. 1 zettabyte is equivalent to 1 billion terabytes. It's a big number to comprehend. Look at the bottom one, which is the data velocity. Now, it is just not about the volume, the velocity. Historically, we used to, capture the data, pass it to your regular BI platform, once in a day, once in a month, once in a week. But today, there is so much of discussion going on that, and there is so much of physical infrastructure that is evolved that you can literally pass the data as you create, which is data in motion. And the having a variety of data. If you look at the history, the way we manage our customers is basically look at, what they truly do in terms of the transactions. But today we are really going to go beyond that. We saw some of these earlier presentations where, the fans are talking about you are talking about your product, you are talking about what you love, what you don't like. And, that creates a huge amount of unstructured data. So if you look at the data space, the total amount of data, so today we have 80% of the unstructured data, and only 20% is structured data. So the way we are looking at the entire BI platform, the way we are mining the platform is going to be completely changing in future. Now, I think we know how the data is created, who is creating the data, what is enabling to create that data. I'll give a simple example how the man interacts with the data, how the man making the data more actionable. How the machine is making the data more actionable. Now here is a jigsaw puzzle. This is a jigsaw puzzle of different kind. So this is jigsaw puzzle relating to national defense in US. Now in the national defense, what they do is they do shred some of these old documents, and in the future data when they realize that some of the documents are destroyed, they ask the department actually to recreate. Now here is a classic example where in US they open this challenge, and there are 5 documents. Those documents have been shred into 10,000 pieces. There are 9,000 people those who participated to recreate the documents, and the winner was Mr. Octavia Good. That the machine is a tool which will be able to comprehend. When you're talking about volumes of data, they'll be able to comprehend, how to read and build the linkage. Not necessarily that the linkage is always going to be 100% right, but the toppest one, which is the symbolic, the last level of cognition, which is the symbolic, which is important, where the human being plays a very, very critical role. It goes beyond space and time. It goes beyond recognizing an object as an object. It rather puts emotion into it, conjecture, dreaming. All these elements are actually coming together to give context. And in this, I'll give you a simple example. It's the human being which can always, with no matter how much information you give, it's the human being who can actually create a story out of it, which neither the machine nor anybody in the animal kingdom will be able to really do that. And that makes human mind really, really special. And Octavia Good is actually talking about that. Yes, it is the human mind that actually gives the final connotation and completes the story. I think I'm running short of time, but what I'll do is this will be probably the last slide where I just wanted to tell you that there are a few key enablers. The way we have been operating is something which may not really help us in terms of moving to the place where we wanted to. So there are 5 enablers. It's a big area. It's a big area. It is impossible for any company to look at every aspect of data and every aspect of capturing what they want to capture and analyze what they really want to analyze. They have to be very selective. Identify areas where you see a great business value. That's number 1. Number 2 is reorganize your business model. If you go to any of these companies today, you have a technology department, you have a digital department, you have a marketing department, you have other department, they don't talk to each other. You can't. You have to change your entire business model. If you don't change the entire business model, you are rather inviting more risk by entering into this kind of big data area. Embed digital as a business model. What we've seen is in many of these companies, you have a internet site, you are helping the customers to do some transaction, but that's not digital. You are treating that as a channel, in terms of serving customers. But the true digital is a lot beyond that. In case you really want to be great in this space, you have to really go beyond this. Then you have expertise. As we heard from Octavia, it's expertise. That is really very, very essential. Who can really, sit with machine and find that right balance, draw the right inference, so that you can do the right actioning. And the last one, but not the least, stay on the top of the technology, because it's the technology which is the facilitator here. So if you are not willing to invest, if you do not have genuine interest in terms of really investing a lot of money, you will defeat in this game. So I think these are the few enablers. Of course, in the last slide, you do see some great business values that we have seen from US, but you can read the slide. I think this is where I really want to do stop. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ganesh. Please
Thank you.
Hot seat.